Welcome to OkState Daily. Casey Porter here. So glad that you decided to tune in. How about them Cowboys taking down the number 9 ranked Iowa State Cyclones last night in front of a crowd that wasn't big. But I will say this, the crowd that was there was very energetic, and you could just tell the players were motivated. There was something there that they saw that made them realize that they can compete in this game. And to be honest with you, talking to a lot of people that are around the program, I mean, if you just looked at the underlying metrics, this was a really bad matchup for OSU. This is not a situation that really set up very well in terms of just matchup-wise for the Cowboys. But I'll tell you what, they came out, scored the first bucket, and never trailed all night long. OSU played hard. Matter of fact, to me, OSU's shown streaks to where, they can come back from like a 19-point lead against really good teams and pull like within 3. So you see them go on bursts and short bursts and sometimes a little bit longer than short bursts of good play. But I think this was the first game all year, first game under Steve Lutz, to where the Cowboys played their A game and they did it for all 40 minutes. And that's what it takes to be in an Iowa State team like that, because you saw, even with the lead, even playing well all game long, if Bryce Thompson doesn't hit the shot with about 3 minutes to go when the Cowboys were only up, I believe, 5 at the time or whatever, if Arturo Dean doesn't make a couple of plays, if Abu Usman, if a couple of his shots don't roll around the entire rim, and if they roll off instead of rolling in, OSU might not have won. So it takes all 40 minutes for somebody to beat a team like Iowa State, especially the Cowboys. Could not be more proud of OSU. Congratulations, Steve Lutz. This was the signature win that this program has needed under him to start turning a corner. So if you look, the record's going to be better than last year. Man, if they just would have won that TCU game. If Oklahoma State can beat Cincinnati, by the way, if you have a chance, go to the game. These kids, they played well for the most part. I know they got just absolutely smacked at home by Texas Tech in front of a good crowd. I get it. I'm not trying to blow smoke in any way, shape, or form for there. But I think it's obvious these kids continue to care. They continue. Now they've laid clunkers. Again, they've laid clunkers. I'm not going to hide from that. But there's a lot out there for this team to accomplish, okay? A winning record, okay? If you can finish this with a winning record and then win one game in the Big 12 tournament and finish with a winning record, you have a marquee win, more wins than last year. It shows positive momentum for this coaching staff. And so I would just urge Oklahoma State fans to go to the last home game, give these kids that played good all year at home, for other than, like I said, the one game. So let's give them a great home court environment. Let them feel exactly what Gallagher-Iba can truly be, and let's go from there, because this is a team that whenever they play right, we saw last night, and we've seen last night was the first time we saw it for a full 40 minutes, but we'd seen it all year as far as what they're capable of doing in situations where they play well. So, hey, how about Arturo Dean? Some of the action, I'll tell you what, Arturo Dean, he's my kind of guy, man. Now, I would like for him to make his free throws a little bit better. He missed a front of the 1-and-1 yet last night. That was frustrating, and he's the point guard, and you need your point guard to be fantastic. But other than that, man, he hit some huge shots. He dished the ball, 14 points for Arturo Dean, 7 steals, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, 6 of 8 from the line. So I'm whining about his free throw shooting a little bit, but one of those was a 1-on-1, and I like to hold my point guards to a big-time standard. So, man, you're talking about 4 assists, 4 rebounds, 6 of 8 from the line, 14.7 steals, and in his last 2 home games, he scored 30 points, 8 assists, just 3 turnovers. Arturo Dean, who is one of the few players on this team that's making an impact, that has the ability to come back next year, let's show up for Arturo Dean and make sure that he knows that we want him back to come to Oklahoma State, because Arturo Dean has been playing very good basketball. He is showing you as an Oklahoma State fan that he absolutely cares. They would be easy for a group like this, and we're going to see Abu Usman here. A group like this with a bunch of guys that aren't going to be here next year and that kind of thing. They've been in college forever to say, screw it, I'm done, let's get it over with. They absolutely have not done that. And Abu Usman is at the top of that list. As a matter of fact, Abu Usman was the man last night. 25 points, he had a block, 4 steals, 6 rebounds, and also had an assist. And beyond that, just time after time after time, Usman hit big shot after big shot, whether it be a 3, like that one right there, to extend it to see if that shot rolls off. I mean, who knows? That's a 13-point lead. If you miss that, Iowa State gets the rebound and it's the other end for a 3, it's 7 instead of 13, and now you're in that danger zone. This mid-range jumper there, that was huge. I kept texting everybody I knew. I just felt like Oklahoma State needed to maintain a double-digit lead until the 4-minute media timeout. I was not comfortable until Oklahoma State still had that double-digit lead at the 4-minute under. I think the media timeout came out with like 3:30 to go. But Oklahoma State took a double-digit lead well under the 4-minute mark, and a lot of that was because of Abu Usman, who was great last night. He's been great all year long in terms of scoring. And another thing that Usman did last night was that he played defense in the second half without scoring. We've seen him lose his temper, foul out. That doesn't do his team any good. We thought he had 4 fouls for a while last night. He did not. They actually gave one of his fouls to Robert Jennings Jr., and he got to finish the game, and he was an absolute huge factor. I'll tell you another huge factor. This young man, I could not be more proud of it. I'm just going to say it straight up. This is a young man that came into Oklahoma State with a lot of lofty expectations. He went to Kansas with lofty expectations. With that comes a lot of pressure. So when you don't perform, that was the shot of the game to me right there, to move it back up to 6. I said 5. Iowa State actually had got it down to within 4. If Thompson doesn't hit that shot to move it back up to 6, I don't think Oklahoma State wins last night. That was another big one there to get it back up to double digits. So some huge shots from Thompson. So I get it that his career, although he is a top 25 all-time scorer at OSU, his career hasn't been that 5-star shiny all-the-time type of career that Oklahoma State fans had visions of grandeur for. But I'll tell you what, this dude has continued to work, and OSU fans should show Bryce Thompson nothing but mad respect for the way that he has presented himself at Oklahoma State. And for this last season, he's given OSU fans. He has been absolutely fantastic at OSU. You saw the 17-footer that he hit right there to put the Cowboys back up 6. I thought, again, that was the biggest player of the game. You saw the 3-pointer that was big. For Thompson, 4 assists, just 1 turnover, made both free throws. And now Bryce Thompson has scored in double digits in 13 games since the new year. Bryce Thompson is a fantastic basketball player that all Oklahoma State fans should truly appreciate, and he had another really nice game last night for the Cowboys, and they needed every bit of the production he gave. Chichi Avery, we all were wondering, hey, I mentioned it on my last, I don't know if it was last, I think it was my last podcast, but he took that 3-pointer against whoever it was that Oklahoma State beat at home the last time they were at home. And you're like, oh, no. And then he made it, and you're like, oh, yes, right? Well, he did the same thing last night. Oklahoma State had a 4-point lead or whatever it was, and all you need to do is pull the ball back out and make him foul you. And he goes in and attacks the bucket and gets a charge. You're like, Chichi, dude, come on, man. But that play right there doesn't hide the fact that he scored 10 points. He had a really nice game. Chichi Avery had 2 steals. It was UCF is who it was. Chichi Avery had 2 steals, 3 assists, and 5 rebounds. So Chichi Avery, despite the one play at the end, I can't hide that play. That was just a monumentally stupid play on his part. I think he'd be the first one to tell you that, but we're not going to harp any further on that. We're going to continue on with the good type of game he had. Avery has scored exactly 10 points in 3 games in a row, and he scored in double digits in 4 games in a row. So Chichi Avery has been very, very good. So another part of this game last night was that OSU got some really just kind of some unsung performances. We're going to get to Sumnick right here. Patrick Sumnick, okay? He only scored 6 points, but he only had 10 minutes of action. So, I mean, if you equate that out, I mean, that's like a double-double type night for Patrick Sumnick. And you can see right here, I mean, he's adding on to the lead. He's adding on to the momentum, and he's really producing for OSU. So not getting very minutes, Patrick Sumnick, but with the minutes that he's getting, he's really, really producing. He also had an offensive rebound that turned into points. He played good defense in the paint. And so for the limited amount of time that Patrick Sumnick got to play last night, he definitely gave the Oklahoma State Cowboys an unsung performance. And so did Robert Jennings Jr. Matter of fact, Robert Jennings Jr., other than the Texas Tech game, which was a complete, just absolute dud for everybody, right? It was a disaster, like the K-State game on the road, like the Kansas game. Actually, I said Texas Tech. Kansas is the game I meant. Robert Jennings Jr., if you equated him in his last 5 games, I think I did the math the other day. Don't exactly quote me on this. I may be off 1 or 2 here, but I don't think I am. If you equated him to 32-plus minutes, like starters minutes, he would be averaging a double-double in 4 of his last 5 games. So he only played, he only scored 4 points, but he only, again, like Sumnick, he only played 14 minutes, and he made 2 of the 3 shots he took. And, by the way, Robert Jennings Jr. had 7 rebounds last night. So Oklahoma State, it was just a huge victory. I know that the students, they stormed the court, and that was a lot of fun. And so, again, it was a night to where OSU played very well. As a matter of fact, from start to finish, I mentioned, how about this? 42% from the field and 26.1 from three-point range. So did not shoot the ball. You know, it wasn't like one of those nights to where the underdog team just came out and like just made every shot they threw up there, and they were unconscious, and it was like a 1 out of 100 performance. That wasn't the case. Only 26% from three-point range, less than 50% from the floor. This was just a situation to where Oklahoma State made more free throws. OSU shot just 2 more free throws than Iowa State, but they made 6 more. So they had a 6-point advantage in free throws. They didn't turn the ball over. They stole the ball. They outscored Iowa State in points off of turnovers, and that is the formula. Share the ball. They had almost a 1-to-1 ratio, not quite, between shots made and assists. So they shared the ball. They didn't turn it over. They outscored Iowa State in points off of turnovers, and that's how this team wins. That's literally the formula. Now, OSU did get out rebounded by 4, but they had 3 more assists than Iowa State, and then they outscored Iowa State 24-10 off of those turnovers. 24-10. So OSU didn't turn it over themselves. They turned Iowa State over, and they turned those turnovers into points and had a 14-point advantage in points off a turnover. That's where the game was won. OSU's largest lead was 16 points. And OSU, like I said, did a great job maintaining that double-digit lead to well within under the 4-minute mark, which made kind of that last stretch. Although Iowa State did pull within 4, it was pretty much everything had to go perfect for Iowa State to win that game. All OSU had to do was just make a couple of shots and just not give the game away. And they didn't. And they did make the couple of shots, and they didn't give it away. So it was a very good game. It was a game to where OSU showed that they can compete against the best teams in the country. And because of that, I hope this gives them momentum, and they finish the year strong. I do think it's a very big deal that Oklahoma State finished this year with a winning record. They've won more games in conference. Coach Lutz has shown that it has been an improvement over last year. Now, how big of an improvement is that going to end up being? We will see as this season ends. So, again, another exciting night last night. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Casey Porter for OkState Daily. Go Pokes.